You're talking about all men. I love China.
Ricky Spanish.
I bid you all good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you be watching this transmission. Welcome to Commonwealth for Common People, Commonwealth for Common Folks, or whatever you call the show. Money talk, money bags, oil talk. I mean, there's many titles you can give this show. Hope everyone's doing good out there. Remember, guys, we do not know anything. Do not take any of advice we give you, whether it's financial or medical or whatever. We don't know anything we can't read, and due to this channel's poor quality, we recommend that you do not watch this video. So you have been warned. Okay, guys, so Lower Scratch is saying, did you see the new hype on crypto coin million tokens? Mike in the night. We'll bring up crypto a bit tonight on tonight's show. Can you make me a mod? Yeah, sure. Low Roller Scratcher's been here. Sorry, this is our backup channel. So there's a lot of people ask me, like, why did I lose my ranch? I'm like, no, you didn't lose your ranch. I just forgot to add moderators on this channel because we're going to be streaming on our streaming channel and we're going to have our video channel. Again, we have issues, right? This channel is not your typical, roundabout channel pouring gravy down your pants. We don't pour gravy down our... There's a lot of channels out there that have people pouring gravy down their pants, and we do not, I repeat, we do not pour gravy down our pants. So I hope everyone's doing good out there. Let's go with a quick channel plug, and we're going to get on to what is happening in the markets. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining and being part of the channel, subscribing and liking. All right, let's get to the channel plug here, guys. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to the main channel. If you haven't yet, this is the main channel where all our stuff is documented. In case you haven't seen, we cover a lot. We've been covering a lot of stuff that we're talking about today, 5-6 years ago, and kind of working up to it, right? The channel has over 4,300 videos, and it's something, it's a work in progress. Guys, this is the live stream channel that you're on now, in case you didn't know, because a lot of people are going on the other channel community section and thinking it's on there, but it's not. People are still finding us, but through the community. Guys, 2 weeks to go. Mike in the Night, please, guys, I'm asking that you set your reminders for this one. This Mike in the Night this Saturday is going to be pretty big, so I'm asking if... people could please go there right now and set your reminders for this show. This is going to be a good Mike in the Night. We're 2 weeks out right now. And next week's show is casino, housing, /stock markets. Don't forget to set your reminders for that show too for next Wednesday's show. Guys, don't forget to message me on Instagram. If you need to message me on Instagram. I always approve everybody. It's just sometimes on Facebook, for some reason, on my fan page, everything gets, held back. And artbydano.com, not your typical art. Don't forget to check out artbydano.com. Combo packages, or send Dano a picture, and he commissioned Dano to make you a photo. artbydano.com. And, guys, don't forget to check out ralphie.co.new Zealand, where Mike in the Night gets replayed regularly, broadcasting out of Auckland, New Zealand. Don't forget to check it out. Woo! Hope everyone's doing good out there. Okay, Lenny Poo. Lenny Poo saying, as long as there's no birthday parties, I'm here for the big night. Woo! Casino, you need to add crypto too. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to add crypto, but you guys know what I mean when I say that, right? Jelly Bean? All right, guys, it is... That's an awkward clap. I like this clap. That's a really awkward clap. Sounds like a Chinese award party or something where everyone's clapping so fast. I noticed that the further east you go, the faster people clap. And then you got the more chilled out Western Europe clap. And then you got the American clap. With the woo in there. Anyways, we're not going to be discussing claps here. Anyways, I hope everyone's doing good. Welcome to the show tonight. We got D-Man in the house, Low Roller Scratch in the house, Linny Poo in the house. We got Low Roller Scratch in the house. We got Margie in the house. We got Lapis Blue, Francis Foley. Everybody, Captain Nobody is in the house. Everybody's rolling through tonight. Good to see everybody here. All right, let's go into some articles on what's going on. Some of the bigger ones I put first. So here it goes, guys. Right here, gold. Gold pushes higher against Canadian dollar as Bank of Canada starts to taper bond purchases. We brought this up like 6-7 shows ago. This is going to start moving, or the price of gold, you start to see huge changes in it now that Bank of Canada is starting to ease off, I guess. Ease off on bond purchases. So this is the editor's note. This is from Kitco. Guys, don't forget to check out kitco.com. Your gold news, anything you need to know about precious metal, is here. Editor's note: with so much market volatility, stay on top of the daily news. Get caught up in minutes. I love this because I get in here, I see what I need to see. I don't have to spend 3 days figuring something out. So gold is moving higher against the Canadian dollar as the Bank of Canada announced the reduction in its weekly bond purchase program. This is stemming from a video we did a year and 4 months ago where Canada is crashing, sell now. Well, it's kind of stemming from that video from like a way back ago that we covered, where its purchases and asset purchases and all this Mickey Mousing it's been doing in its economy is absolutely phenomenal. I can't believe how, if we try to... Anyways, I'm not going to get into specifics here. There it is. Its monetary policy statement, the Bank of Canada said it will now purchase $2 billion in bonds weekly, down from $3 billion. Why isn't gold at $70,000 an ounce? Because it's fixed. All right. This adjustment reflects the continued progress towards the recovery of the bank's increased confidence in the strength of the Canadian economic outlook. Right there. That's the economic Canadian. We're so heavily binged on housing that housing has to stay up forever and ever. Amen. For the next 2,000 years, it needs to stay up because they don't want to fix things. They don't want to correct things. Reagan corrected crap back in the early 80s when he raised interest rates 16 or 14%. Oh, I hear something in the background. Nearly. This video talking. We'll get to that video in a bit here. Gold is seeing a little movement in currency markets against the Canadian dollar. Spot gold last traded near its session high at $2,280.75 an ounce, up 0.81 cents a day, and that's in Canadian dollars, guys. So it's kind of important to watch what's happening with when Canada takes itself off of life support, where they could stop buying bonds or stop buying up the private sector. That's the best way to put it. The public sector or the government is buying up the private sector. Yeah, that's what they're doing. So we got Mitch Bannon in the house. We all have 24 hours in the day in the house. We got Johnny Boy Silver. Johnny Boy is always gives us some good feedback that we need. Is some good stuff in the comments. Who else is here? Oh, Grindhouse Cartoons. Hola muchachos, ¿cómo estás? Yeah, someone's asking if Ricky Spanish is coming on the show. Ricky Spanish. I don't know if you guys are on our Discord, but Ricky Spanish has been picking some really good winner stocks. Remember, he used to work on the trading floor. He used to work for Goldman Sachs. He used to work for all them people there in New York. So, in Manhattan there. So you guys gotta kind of listen to what Ricky Spanish is saying, because he does actually understand the fundamentals. I call it the backroom talk fundamentals of stock trading, and I kind of wish Ricky Spanish could, like, he messaged me on Discord on a stock, but I was sleeping, and I missed the boat, right? So it's like 6 in the morning, right? So, if I don't have to wake up at 6 in the morning, I don't wake up at 6 in the morning, right? Spiffy BB in the house. All right, so there you go, Canada. That's what's happening in Canada. So pay close attention, guys. We're gonna keep our fingers on the pulse with this, because this is, and Canada starts to taper its bond purchases, and this has been going for a year and I don't know, like 14, 15 months now. So let's just keep our finger on the pulse with this, okay? Let's move on. Gold hits 4-week high as Fed's Powell eases stimulus concerns. Gold climbed a 4-week high as inflation concerns boosted demand for the metal as a store of value, while Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell reassured investors on the outlook of stimulus, copper, and most of other base metals. Powell said on Wednesday in congressional testimony that the recovery hasn't progressed enough to begin pairing the central bank's monthly asset purchases at the House hearing. Powell reiterated that the Fed stands ready to act should inflation expectations rise meaningfully. Data released on Tuesday show prices paid by U.S. consumers surged in June by the most since 2008. So there it is. Inflationary wise, yeah, we're looking at 2008 levels. People are paying a lot for gas. Gold has been on the mend after its worst month since 2016 in June, when it was hurt by signals that the Fed could increase interest rates sooner than expected to counter inflation. Stimulus by central banks and governments since the pandemic helped bullion reach a record high in 2020. But vaccine, right there, rollouts are reopening economies and have eroded demand for the metal as a haven. So they're pushing people away from gold. See, here it is. They're trying to dissuade people for investing in gold, and when they do that, that means gold is where to go. You always have to find these little hints and these little secrets. The way they talk to you, they're telling you what's going on.
The Mexican government,
they're telling you what's going on in this thing. Okay, they're telling you. You just got to pick it apart. This means buy gold. This is what it means. Don't take any financial advice from me. I did buy 2 gold stocks this morning that I believe they may go up. Right? Remember, guys, when you're playing the stock market, it's like gambling. You're making a prediction, right? If you buy a stock in some gold company, remember, think of it like you're making a prediction is what you're doing. You're predicting that something is going to be more valuable. You're predicting that something is going to work in favor of what trend you're following or what is happening geopolitically in the world, right? In my opinion, gold should be 7,000-8,000 an ounce. Gold should be 350-400 an ounce, hands down. No questions asked, no debate. But unfortunately, there's just too much market manipulation happening, and that's why. So there it is. Gold is starting to shine. All right, let's head out to housing in Canada. This is kind of important, guys, before we get into the rest of the world there. Jay Pastor says Canada sold all its gold. We got to get Jay Pastor on the show here on Skype. If he wants to add me on Skype, Mike Martins 1980. Mike Martins 1980 on Skype. I want to get Jay Pastor on. I want to get Johnny Boy Silver on the show. Mitch Madden would be nice to have on the show too. I want to get Mitch. Maybe I'll call him later. He's asking about could the United States go to South Africa, right? The thing is, the question you need to ask: what's in it for America in South Africa? I mean, could they go bring freedom and then create some sort of, I guess, a couple of bases out there in return for bringing freedom? Get a stronger foothold in the African continent? I don't know. Again, if we're playing chess, the world game of chess, America should go to South Africa. I'm not saying I mean to bring peace, okay, but then in return create a little bit of a foothold, because China is I think the Chinese Communist Party is destroying the world, and they've been doing it for about 2 decades now, and it's been very prevalent in the last 2 years now, right? They created a man-made virus. The virus got released to the public. They had all, I'm not going to get into that, but you guys understand what I'm saying here, right? Oh, Mitch Manning says, Mike, what I meant is, could we end up I could see states breaking apart. I could see states breaking apart easily. I could see states kind of creating this this paradigm of a divide. I don't know if that even makes. I don't even think that's English, but I could see states militiaing. Yeah, Johnny Boy Silver, add me on Skype. Mike Martin's 1980, and make sure it's working fine, and come on the show. I got David Xu messaging me here on Skype. Did you read the article? Can't believe the school board had gone woke. So he's talking about something here from Mike in the Night. No, okay, well, we have 24 hours in a day. Would it happen? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to get to like what South Africa is going through right now. It's because the United States of America has a better organized police force. South Africa's police force started to deteriorate in early 2001, 2002. And then in 2007, all these corruption scandals and a lot of deception coming out of Johannesburg. So there's no some parts even lost 911 or emergency call services, some parts of South Africa. Yeah, it's not like what you guys like. It's been on a decline for the last 20 years. So that's a major issue. What's happening there in South Africa. So no, it will not happen. Like America, you'll see the strong survive. And if there's some sort of a fallout when it comes to geopolitical differences between like people living on the same street. That's how effed up it's gotten. We've been so divided that people on my block, like my street I live in, everyone's so divided, whether it's political, whether it's this, and everybody just doesn't see eye to eye. People can't shake each other's hand. That's what's happening, right? So should America go to South Africa if they want to strengthen their foothold and be at the bottom of Africa? I guess that would be the Horn of Africa there. I think I would, go there and send a little bit of something there, a little bit of carried, a little bit of support, and then maybe kill a few bad guys, and then strengthen your position there. Spiffy BB's got a good one. I figure Canada will separate into separate states instead of provinces in the next 50 years. Yeah, the thing is they won't allow the idea of Canada to falter, even though it's been it makes sense on paper, but then when you get into the geopolitical and the race issue that they keep, it's never ending. It's never going to end. It's going to be 2,000 years from now and we'll still be on the same topics. Ben Gone is saying, here in Long Beach, the cops did nothing during the last riots. It looked like South Africa. No. Well, I'm not talking about the police. In South Africa, they took the guns. I'm talking about the citizens, too, in America are very coordinated. And, like, they go to gun clubs. People know each other. So no one's going to screw with Americans, okay? That's the thing. That's what a lot of countries are, that's why America has never, I guess, had a shot fired on its soil, right? It's because no one wants to play around with the Americans, right? Francis Foley says, I see Canada breaking apart for sure. Steve Stevens says to get Dom on mic. No original races left. Oh, man. All right. So let's go here real quick here so we know what's going on with gold. Bank of Canada further taper toxic program help push home prices higher. So this is what we're talking about earlier, tapering home prices. Let's look into this. This is very important. Again, this ties into that video that I did a year and a half ago where Canada's crashing. And this is why. It's because the toxic program that helped push home prices higher. Canada's central bank is closer to ending the program that added rocket fuel to home prices. So there it is right there. Quantitative easing, it's QE. Buying bonds and stuff. Bank of Canada taper QE $2 billion per week instead of $3 billion. And cheap credit helps push home prices higher. And don't forget the money moving offshore from Hong Kong. Don't forget all the money laundering or money placement that the banks call it. And fentanyl sales from drugs coming from mainland China, from the CCP, into the West and reinvesting the profits into more real estate. Cheap credit helps push home prices. So this is it here. Better Dwellings warning about this too. So they're going to be doing $2 billion a week instead of $3. Oh, that's sweet. That's nice.
Mexico.
So we got Layla saying 911, 911 Mike. We got Captain Nobody in the house. All right, let's move on. Bank of Canada tapers massive stimulus program, says inflation is temporary. Again, they're not really telling, or they should be preparing people. They should be telling people, hey, maybe get a little bit of extra food, maybe get a little bit of extra this. We screwed up. Instead of saying, look, we screwed up, we should have allowed the housing market to correct in 2014. We should have allowed it again to see another correction in 2017 because our books weren't, it was just crazy. They had to bribe people with first-time home buyer loans from the government, which you have to pay back. Because I got to make myself very clear on this show. Because in the United States, when you get a first-time home buyer home grant, if you live in the house for 4 years, you don't have to pay back the grant. In Canada, guess what? You pay it back with interest. So I got to make myself clear here when I'm talking about between the two countries, right? So Canada's in trouble. This is hot water, and they're going to be tapering off. What this is, and I'm going to say this again and make myself very clear to you guys. They are buying up the private sector. The public sector is buying out the private sector is what's happening. Canada's going to become all public. It's going to become all part of the government. You're going to have shopping stores, grocery stores owned by the gas stations. They've already been talking about government-owned only gas stations in Canada. So watch out. And Blackstone's back in the news today. Blackstone to buy $7.3 billion of AIG housing insurance assets. So American International Group, Inc. said it agreed to sell 9.9% equity stake in its life and retirement business to Blackstone Group, Inc. for $2.2 billion in cash. The insurer and the private equity giant agreed to a long-term strategic asset management relationship for an initial $50 billion from the life and retirement portfolio. This is not pesos, guys. This is American dollars. AIG said on Wednesday in a statement, AIG will also sell affordable housing assets to Blackstone for $5.1 billion. The deal builds on two initiatives by Blackstone to build its so-called permanent capital through the expansion into insurance and pressure lower-cost rentals for its real estate businesses. Blackstone and its private equity peers Apollo Global Management, Inc. and KKR & Co. have been attracted to insurance because it generates a steady stream of capital that can be invested. Like airlines. Back in the day, airlines were a steady stream of people traveling, right? But always something falls apart, right? The expansion in permanent capital helps firms become less reliant on the ups and downs of private equity model that demands regular fundraising from institutions. So there it is, right there. Blackstone to buy. We're gonna keep an eye on them going forward. Avast and Norton LifeLock disclose advanced talks into merger. This is actually a pretty big deal. The deal, if it occurs, it may be a cash to stock purchase. Both companies said. Hold on, stupid thing's playing again. I'll get to that in a second. Wednesday, in a statement, Norton LifeLock also confirmed the talks, said no agreement has been reached. If the deal occurs, it may be a cash-to-stock purchase. Both companies said in separate statements. Now that the talks have become more public, Norton LifeLock has until August 11 announces an intention to make an offer according to the statements. So this is a pretty... You're going to see a lot of mergers and acquisitions in the next 5-6 years. It's all going to go into one big company. San Diego's housing market strong despite foreclosure protections expiring soon. Federal foreclosure protections, which set to expire starting at the end of July. So we got another 2 weeks left until things start to fall apart there. Included a moratorium on certain foreclosures, as well as the ability for forbearance. As a result, the number of homes for sale fell drastically. So not a lot of homes in the market for sale, but prices still keep going up. Buyers are willing to pay more for a property, Goldman said. There are so many buyers chasing so few properties right now. So they're playing the supply and demand game again, and that's been a thing that's been happening. Here it goes. This is the video that keeps playing. So this is kind of important.
Nearly as soon as for sale signs go up at a home, cardboard boxes come out.
It's a pretty fast pace right now.
Elizabeth McCoy is the president of the Greater Fort Worth Association of Realtors, and just this week she talked to an agent handling 21 offers on a home.
Because you can get a house if you're going in strategically on your offer.
She wasn't surprised the new S&P Case-Shiller Index showed a nationwide 14.6% housing price jump in April compared to last year, or that in the Dallas area, it's an even higher 15.9%, the largest of the Greater Fort Worth.
So what this is,
right now we have some sellers who...
This is a lot of people moving from California, Oregon, and Washington, and now Arizona. People are fleeing Arizona now because it's turning into a Marifornia.
think, okay, well, I can just put any price on my house.
McCoy says many are now looking for homes outside the main four counties to find something affordable. And some are even waiving appraisals, inspections, and option periods.
Does that sound familiar, guys? That was Vancouver back in 2012, 2013, and 2014. Oh, sight unseen. No appraisal needed. No this, no that.
That's a really important time for a buyer to be able to get in and make sure that the house is in a condition that they are expecting.
A major selling point is that rates are low, but they have been dropping for more than 30 years. Fry is telling buyers to basically offer whatever you can stomach.
And I'm usually like, well, I just say, like, when you wake up tomorrow and you didn't go to that price, you didn't get it, are you upset? So I was like, whatever that price is, go for it.
So they're pushing more FOMO is what they're doing, right? So you got to watch out for that. Chile lays out plans. Chile lays out plans to raise interest rates. So Chile's trying really, 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 really hard to get this thing rolling here. Let me see what I got here. Oh, Tig Nim wants to add me on Skype. Silver Scott. He's right there. Let's call Silver Scott. Silver Scott needs to turn on his Skype. Gary Medeiros is saying central banks double-crossed themselves, and if you bought into FOMO, you're a complete moron. Yep, we covered that at the beginning of the show. What's happening in Canada with this bond buying thing? Silver Gary, please, turn on. It says your Skype is offline. Okay, this is Tig. Let me see if she picks up the phone. I want to say hi to her. She's been on the show for 100 years now. No answer from Tig. She's always in the comments, so she always has something to say, right? I was gonna see if she wanted to call in and talk about something. And okay, where is Silver Scott? Turn on your Skype, buddy. Amy Burr in the house. Lenny Pooh saying, Mike, the first-time home buyers program in Canada means the government is a partner in your in the house, and they share the equity once you sell it. Oh, I have something to say to that. Right there. They own a part of everything you got. Rusty Bethhammer says, I'll go downstairs. Give me a few minutes. So let's get some callers in the show today. Let's do some open lines here. Open lines. You come on the show tonight. What is happening in housing, gold, crypto, financial, oil? Oh, let's go here. Chile lays out plans for gradual tightening after key rate hike. So Chile's moving up rates. I mean, are they going to get to 1% anytime soon? But still, it's in the right direction. Chile signaled it will continue to raise its interest rate gradually after its first borrowing cost increase in 2 years, as policymakers weigh a strong economic rebound and risks from the new COVID strains. The banks, they have to add the ball juice in there. You know what I'm saying? The bank's board, led by President Mario Marcel, voted unanimously on Wednesday to lift the overnight rates to a quarter point to 0.7%. In an accompanying statement, policymakers wrote fuel prices are pressuring inflation while consumption and government spend propel activity. So this whole government spending during COVID has caused a lot of problems because government spent more than they should have. Saudi and UAE reach compromise in OPEC standoff, and this is probably why oil has been not doing well recently. But the price of gas is still going up. Price of gas will still keep going up. It doesn't matter if they get the oil for free. Free.
I don't give out my number to anybody.
Yeah, I don't give my number out to anybody. So I kind of wanted to throw that out there.
Ricky Spanish.
All right, let's see who's jumping on here. Tig, turn on your Skype. Turn on your Skype. Skype it. Let's go. Let's Skype. Bromir, Wall Street Silver on YouTube is much better than Kitco. Yeah, for sure. I'm just going off of what comes up, just kind of mixing it up a bit. Margie O has an idea for a movie, and it's called The Never-Ending Variant. Yeah, The Never-Ending Variant. So who else is here? Layla in the chat here. Linny Poo is in here giving us some advice, and she's a real estate agent that understands what's happening on the ground. All right, Dallas-Fort Worth new homes start to hit another record high. Again, guys, look at this house. See the size of this house? 220 grand in Texas. That's I'm not talking about that, like a house like that. But that house in Vancouver, $4.6 million, but it was built in 1902. Yeah. What is this thing? Consumer Bureau stiffens rules on most foreclosures. I can't even open that. Okay, what is happening? We got some stocks. I got the, here. It's a Bloomberg thing here. Let me close this. I got Yahoo Finance. Right now, the ASX and the All Ords in Australia is up. And Australian dollar is falling to the US dollar. And oil is around $72.65 a barrel right now. So, Silver Scott in the house. Silver Scott, how you doing?
Good. Can you hear me?
I could hear you perfectly, buddy. How you doing?
Good. How's everybody doing tonight?
Oh, we're all doing good, man. It seems like there's no one fighting in the comments. It's nice.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so tell us what's on your mind. You've been commenting on the channel for a while, so you got a lot to say. Tell us what's going on, buddy.
I'm not sure. Like, I think what they're saying about immigrants aren't gonna be coming into Canada as frequently. That's for sure. I know you're talking about inflation tonight, though, too. So
no, we're talking about a little bit of everything, but they're having troubles apparently filling positions for job positions too.
Well,
that's what they're saying.
I think what that's coming down to is just wages need to increase. Like, like the wages haven't increased since like they definitely haven't kept up with inflation. But I know I work in plumbing, but plumbers haven't gotten a raise since like 1980. So
Yeah, Barry
and-
White was still alive then.
Yeah, yeah. Plumbers haven't gotten a raise since Barry White was alive. Sounds about right.
So here's an article I'm going to bring up if you're living in Canada here. Let me just grab this here. News. Let me put up 40 years here. There's an article. I read this article actually several times on the channel. Millions of jobs. I'm just trying to find that specific article. Canada. Then I can show people what you're talking about. Wages.
Yeah, like I don't have anything against real estate agents, but I just don't like bankers. I don't like lawyers, and I don't like real estate agents. I know that's like so wrong to say, but I feel sorry for Lenny Poo because I know you are a real estate agent, but you might catch some snarky remarks from me because just how I feel about things, you know.
Well, you know what the best part of this channel is we're pretty much on the same page when it comes to understanding what's happening to us.
Yeah, like you can make a good living as a real estate agent. Like anyone in America, if you could be a real estate agent right now, you'd be making money hand over fist. Mm-hmm. That's the effect of Amerifornia coming to your state soon. Amerifornia is here.
And that's becoming a major issue because production is going to go. People will produce more, but they'll make less. The more further in time we go, the more indebted we put ourselves in without spending.
Yeah.
I know that sounds so bizarre and so, what do you call it? Twilight Zone, but that's what it is. We
live in a backwards land, and it's funny because like the older generations don't understand why like kids can't have a house when they're 18 anymore and aren't financially independent, and you get all these like the older generations, they don't understand like even how their children are being robbed, right? It's like it baffles them, like it confuses them. It's like they're so sneaky with how they rob us through inflation and taxation and everything else. It's like people don't understand it, right? It's crazy to me. Mm-hmm.
It's sad because you get a lot of people giving you an earful of, oh, by the way, why don't you do this? In my time, I used to walk to work, and then I used to do this, and then I would stay an extra 2 hours. It's like, yeah, but you could go shopping with $13, right? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I always get like, when I was 22, I had a house and 2 kids and a wife, and I had 2 properties when I was that age. It's like, yeah, but I don't know. You obviously don't get what they've been doing to your children then. Obviously you don't understand how the financial system is robbing us like blindly. And the only way to get ahead is to have assets. That's the only way you can get ahead in life. Like they're just like, I don't know. So it's so upside down and people just don't understand it. It's like, I don't know what to say about it.
Mm-hmm. But, what's your situation? Are you working now?
Well, I'm a plumber. Like I always have work. I would like to get into finance and stuff, but it's like you always have to pay a degree, It's like you have to have a license to be able to work in any of these industries. I always found that with like science and medicine too. It's like the only way to work in science and medicine is you have to pay into it, get a degree, and now you're licensed. You're a licensed practitioner, and you have the approval to work in these industries, right?
Because you've been indoctrinated by the way they want you to run things.
Exactly, and that's the thing too. And if you look in any of these industries, right, if you start to think outside the box, if you start to think outside the way they teach you to think, then you're a bad apple. You're a problem. You think for yourself. You know how to critically think for yourself and understand these things. We can't have that. You got to do what we tell you to do, and that's how that works.
So any are you working on any foreclosure properties, or you just do you do any work for the banks when they need a plumber to go in and do some work, or you just
I like new construction. I do like renovations and stuff, but I'm just working for contractors, but I've done work on foreclosures. I like that would be something I would even be interested in doing is like buying up a cheap foreclosure because that's probably what's about to start coming in Canada, to be honest with you.
No,
Like,
I think there's going to be a wave of wealthy investors ready to jump on that before us.
you think so?
I know. Not with
I
the
don't-
amount of money. Well, like, you know how many money laundering. Now, this is coming from somebody from Ottawa was telling me that Canada, in 1 year alone, I think it was in 2019, had 35. Just Canada in 1 year, and I think it was 2019 had 35 million money laundering breaches.
Yeah, but
That's huge.
don't-
That's huge. Like,
I
so if you
like-
launder on average $2 to $8 million, that just we are completely outbought. We were completely bought out.
Yeah, but I don't know how many people can really survive a down tick in the market right now. So I think you're right. Like you have to have somebody step in, but I don't think in foreign investors are going to step into a market that's like like you could buy, like you said, 8 houses in Texas for one. Like, would you rather buy 8 houses in Texas or 1 in Canada as a foreign investor? You know what I mean? Like,
But that's why Amerifornia is happening, because America's becoming more attractive to foreign investors because they love Joe Biden.
yeah, but I think that gives Canada a downtick, and like I don't know how many people could necessarily survive a downtick, right? Like the bank might own their house. I don't know. Maybe they can somehow figure out a way to hold on to their house, but
Well,
I think a lot of people
you got to
are,
remember,
like,
1 in 4 homes are foreign invested, right? So you got to be really careful, because in a way where those 1 in 4 homes don't want to lose their investment either, right?
yeah.
So you got to keep
that's
those
true.
people in mind too, right?
Yeah, but I think a lot of them can survive a downtick in the market, right? Like they'll just hold on to it, where everyone else will just get clobbered, and they'll just buy up half of America while everyone in Canada gets clobbered. I don't know what they're gonna do, honestly.
Well, again, if we stuck to our money laundering issues, like if money laundering was a crime for overseas investors, we wouldn't be in this problem today.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but because it's a crime for me and you, it's illegal for me and you to do it, then obviously we don't do it because it's illegal, right? But because, yeah. So unfortunately, because foreign investing is called money placement in Canadian banks,
Yeah.
money laundering is called money placement. The banks place your money.
Yeah.
It's crazy, dude. It's
Well,
crazy. From
people
2010,
actually
they've been
don't-
doing this.
People actually don't even really understand banking, which is the funny part, because it's actually illegal for banks to earn money off of. First of all, banks aren't allowed to loan. It's illegal for banks to loan money. And second of all, it's illegal to make interest off something that you don't own. You cannot make interest. So like it's weird. Like how you actually purchase a house is so weird in the banking system, but they just tell the banking employees, like, this is how you do this. They just go by the book, right? It's like a procedure. But it's actually illegal to make interest off something you don't own, right?
Or something that doesn't exist.
Yeah, that is illegal. But we have a corrupt justice system.
No.
too.
It's illegal for me and you.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get that straight here. You know.
Because if you actually call the bankers out on that, they're like, "Oh, get this guy out of here. Get him out of here now." You know, you'll have like the banks will call the FBI on you. They'll shuffle you right out of the bank. This guy knows too much. Get him out of here right now. That's what happens, man. I'm telling you.
So how long you been watching my channel? How long you been watching this channel for?
I don't know, quite a while. I've probably this year, but I've just really noticed the just like the downgrade in our fabric of society this year. They're just beating people down with all of this, made up pandemic nonsense crap. It's like it's so evil. It's so evil. I can't even watch this stuff sometimes, man. It just beats you down. And that's one thing you like. The last thing they're gonna take from us is our minds. So people like you just have to keep your sanity because they've taken everything else from us, and the last thing they're gonna try to take from us is it's gonna be our minds. They're going to try to take our minds, and you have to hold firm and find something in life to give you, I don't know, hope. And that's the thing. Freedom is a state of mind. You have to just find serenity and peace within yourself, I guess.
I was talking to somebody that was working on a floating city program where they were actually funding and building homes on the water and blah, 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 and very inexpensive and very well insulated, very well built, like houseboats, but like made nicely for, medium income families and stuff. So they don't have to drive 1,000,000 miles out of the city and stuff. And they shut that, they found faults in the zoning purposely, and they shut it down. And I asked her, I go, what happened to that program? That was a really great idea. You guys even made the papers. And she's like, no, the government shut it down because what it's going to do, it's going to force people to live off land. And then I guess the taxation, when you're living off land, it changes, and they can't charge you property tax or something like that with taxes.
Well, there's actually another way to get around property tax, but for that, countries themselves only own a certain distance off the coast,
right?
And it goes by how big the country is. So like a bigger I don't know, like a little island off Australia doesn't own 100,000 kilometers out. It's based on like the size.
18
of
miles or
landmass.
19 miles, nautical miles or something. Yeah.
It's based off the landmass itself, how far off the coast they own. So they can only govern that landmass and that certain distance off of the coast. Anything that goes off that coastline, they can't do anything to you. You're not
right. That's why they want to
law.
stop floating cities, because it's not that hard. We're technologically, with 3D printing, all this stuff we have, we could build a bunch of homes, tie them together, stay out of a hurricane zone, at a decent subtropic temperature. You could run floating cities. Like they were talking about this in the 50s and 60s. Right?
100% you can.
100%. But the problem is it's harder for government. You can't govern it, right? You can't. And then, but then you don't have a military. Well, that's the whole point. We don't want we don't want war. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. No. Why they don't like that is you're out of their control. They hate that. They hate that you're trying to get out of the, government fist. Get
the
back
government's
here.
radius check.
Stop trying to squirm away. Get back here.
Mm-hmm.
They hate that. But
right.
On property tax, there's ways to get around property tax.
Like how?
I don't know. Like all this information will probably get you kicked off YouTube, but so it's called a allodial title. You need an allodial title to a house, because how the banking system actually works is like you're buying an equity in the house. You're not buying the allodial title ownership of the house. All these people that think they own their houses, the bank owns the house. What you're actually paying for is an equity ownership, an equity share. Like when you buy shares of a stock, you're buying a piece of that stock. It's like equity ownership. That's how housing works. You're buying an equity stake in that property. The bank is the owner. The bank has the allodial title to the house.
What if you don't have a mortgage?
It doesn't matter. Even after you pay your mortgage off, it don't matter. The bank owns the allodial title. All you've done is you've paid off your portion of the equity stake in the house. You're just buying a piece of it. You don't own it. Even after your mortgage is paid, you do not own it. The only way to actually own a house is you have to pay in gold and silver coinage, which is real money, and you have to buy the allodial title with gold and silver coinage. That is international law. The only way to actually own a piece of land, a piece of property. I know. You guys have all been duped. You're all like looking at me like I'm fucking crazy.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You don't have to swear. You don't have to swear.
Oh, sorry.
No.
That's the only way you can own a house.
Mm-hmm.
You're buying See, that's why when you said that thing about the Canadian government being able to try to like repossess homes, it's not foreign buyers. Probably they're not going to go after foreign buyers and stuff, but like when they're trying to repossess homes and stuff, the banks have the right to do that. And I know people don't believe that, but they can confiscate your house like that.
No, I know they can. They have the. I made a video. I don't know if you know if it's the video where they're coming for private property. Do you remember that video I did last week?
Yeah, that's.
They're coming for private property, and the countries have different names of it. Search and seizure. Like they have every country has a name for that specific private property seizure. And the Philippines is called one thing, and in America it's called one thing, and Canada's a different name. And they could take it, but not to sell to someone else, but they could take it to sell it for proceeds to fund the country or to fund whatever project they're working on for the people.
Yep.
So.
And that is, yeah. The Soviet Union flag, you know what it was? It's the hammer and the sickle, right?
Right.
And do you know what that symbol means?
I remember talking about it in school. It's about it's obviously a communist.
It's a global communist symbol,
mm-hmm.
right? The hammer and the sickle. So that's what's going on right now. The Soviet Union never died. It got stronger.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like to tell people, and they don't understand it, right? Like, it's like democracy. I said this earlier. Democracy. Demos. What does demos mean?
Isn't it Latin for?
It's Latin for mob rules.
Yeah. The
mob rules. That's what they used to say in Rome too. The mob rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Democratic Communist Party of globalist communism. That's what it is. The Democratic Global Communist Party.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that means. You guys, they're not coming. It's not just them coming for America. You know why they don't like America is you guys have too much freedom, right?
That's why everyone once the Democrats could annul the Constitution and give up, and Americans give up their guns, it's over. The world will turn into darkness.
Oh yes.
The world will turn into darkness.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It has to come. You see, the thing why it was delayed with Trump too is this whole thing has to come under the Democratic Party, and we can debate whether or not they even actually won, but this whole thing has to come under the Democratic Party, globalist communist party.
Yeah.
That's when this whole shift had to happen.
Right, yeah, it wouldn't be under the others' watch. Yeah, you're right about that one. I'll give you that. All right, Silver, Scott, I'm going to let you go. And it's been a good 21 minutes talking to you, buddy. Thanks for coming on. We see you in the comments, and it's good to have you on. It's good to have people that comment. Everyone that comments in here should call at least once.
Yeah.
At least. And you're welcome to call in anytime you want, Silver Scott. And we'll talk again. Maybe call on a mic in the night and tell us something that we don't know.
Sure.
All right. Have a good one, Silver.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye. That is Silver Scott. He got his Skype working for us to come on the show. We have him in the comments all the time. It's good to have people on the show. It's good to have people on the show that we... okay, Tignim, you need to call in. I got you on Skype now. I added you on Skype. Now you need to talk to us because you're always in the comments. So it's nice that, you know, we talked to you for a little bit, you know? Sorry, guys, I'm just reading the comments here. I'm not going into Okay, what are we looking at here? Okay, nobody cares. This is all, like... Just trying to see if I can find... There's so much articles... commercials in between the actual articles here I'm trying to find. And all I'm finding is just, like, ads. And this looks like a real story. Titanic photos, and then it's an ad. The Great Exit. And we're looking at a brain drain. Oh, they're finally admitting, the media is finally admitting we're going through a massive brain drain and our youth is moving to more affordable areas. I mean, yeah, hello. So today's top story is gold pushes higher against Canadian dollar as Bank of Canada starts to taper bond purchases. They're going to $2 billion a week from $3 billion a week. Gold hits 4-week high as Fed's Powell eases stimulus concerns. Bank of Canada to further taper toxic program to help push home prices higher. Blackstone to buy $7.3 billion of AIG housing insurance assets. Avast and Norton LifeLock disclose advanced talks on merger. Chile lays out plans for gradual tightening after key rate hike. Saudi Arabia and UAE reach compromise in the OPEC standoff. And what else do we have? Dallas-Fort Worth new home starts to hit another record high. And what was the other one we had here? There's stories everywhere, guys. So if you got a top story or something, guys, don't forget to join our Discord, please. We got a really good Discord going on here. And please join our Discord. Ooh, I used to have this stock, Joy. Let me see where Joy went. Wow, Joy broke out today. I used to have this stock. I can't remember what I sold it at. I don't remember what I sold this stock at. I know I made some money off of Joy Energy. I should have held it for a bit longer. But you never know, guys. That's the thing with stocks. It's like, you know, when you make your money, at least you get something, or you hold on and then you kick yourself in the butt later, right? So in Australia, lockdown, Aussies get $600 COVID cash today. 216,000 Australians offered additional COVID relief. 211 million seized in largest crypto raid. Woo, what's going here? Crypto raid, 211 million. Specialist detectives in the UK investigating money laundering offenses made a seizure of 211 million. The largest cryptocurrency seizure in the UK and believed to be one of the largest globally. The seizure was carried out by detectives from Met's Economic Crime Command on the back of the intelligence received about the transfer of criminal assets. Criminals need to legitimize their money, otherwise it risks being seized by law enforcement. Not in Canada. The proceeds of the crime are almost always laundered to hide the origin. Come and buy a house in Canada. But disrupting the flow of funds before they are reinvested, we can make London an incredibly difficult place for criminals to operate. Not in Canada. Canada calls money laundering money placement here, where banks will place your money. All right. Tig! It's Tig! Come on, Tig, pick up your phone. Tig, pick up. All right, let's head over to Cuba. Raven just posted Cuba. Now, let me tell you, I got a letter, an email here from somebody from Cuba that watched me when they lived in the States, and they went back to take care of their mother, who was basically on her deathbed. in just outside of Havana. I think it was in Maron. I don't even know what the city was called. But he emailed me to let me know that the news has been stating that people are leaving Cuba so they could go to America to get the vax. And that's not true. He says people are not leaving Cuba because they want to get the vax. And there's a lot of political demands they're making that are not being heard. And I think the Canadian government hasn't said anything about it. Neither has, I think, the American government. I don't think no one's really weighed in on this. So this is really in our political spectrum of BS that we're going through. Cuba, this is not really happening in Cuba because nobody wants to weigh in on it. So why Cubans took to the streets in an all-out but unheard of protest? So what? Let me guess. They wanted the vaccine. By Monday morning, the streets of Havana neighborhood of 10 de octubre were cleared. The only sign of previous night of violence where elderly men is ragged work clothes sweeping the last. Let me see if there's other protests held across videos. So here's some of the video footage here from Havana here. So let's hear what this guy's saying.
Has been difficult for Cuba.
Hotels while letting us.
Some guy speaking over. I don't like when people speak over other people when they're talking. I can understand this guy in Spanish, but people can't translate. Yeah, everything is that's cheese and milk there. So this is what Cuba's facing right now, and and obviously the news will throw in the ball juice variant pandemic in there, and ball juice variants are always going to be in there. And so what they're trying to say, this is what Western media has been saying, that people are leaving Cuba so they could go to the States and get the vaccine. That's what they're trying to say. But people are fleeing Cuba because of communism. And I don't know why the Canadian government, like you type in Cuba, you hear, and this is from, you type in Cuba, you don't get nothing from Canada. Oh, Cuba, now the CP political pressure, U.S. President Biden, okay, 7 hours ago. Okay, so again, they're talking about vaccines here, but I'm just trying to see. I'm just trying to see if there's something. March against Cuban government. Trudeau hasn't. Cuba blame unrest on U.S. interference as Biden backs protests. Thousands of Cubans joined streets in protest from Havana to Santiago on Sunday for the biggest anti-government demonstration. Cuba sees biggest protests for decades as pandemic adds to. Again, they keep throwing in, this is Canada news, so News Canada always throws the pandemic in there. So what they're trying to say is that people are leaving Cuba because they want to get the vaccine. That's what they're trying to say in most of the stuff I've been reading. But realistically, what's happening in Cuba is they want to be free from communism. I've been to Cuba. I've been to Cuba like twice, thrice, okay? I spent a couple of months in Cuba. All right, on a motorcycle and traveling around to all the different states. I think I've been to every state, almost every state in Cuba except Guantanamo Bay. I'm just trying to think of what areas I haven't been in Cuba. I've been to almost everywhere in Cuba to check it out, you know, and yeah. I'm just trying to see if there's anything here from even the Australian, anybody. Cuba, let's say Justin Trudeau. Let's see what he says on that. Yeah. Trudeau treads lightly. Canada needs to help the Cuban people. So there's no word on the Canadian government coming in. And, Justin Trudeau might be in, no. So there's nothing here. So there's nothing. There's nothing. So... Steve Stevens says apparently they found out that Cuba has a large deposit of nickel and on the island, which is used in electric cars. If true, you could piece the pieces together. All right, let's get another caller in. Yeah, I need to know. Like, I wish I could call somebody in Cuba right now. I'm just trying to think who's like, I don't know. The problem is they have internet issues, and they've been having internet issues because my friend here Juan hasn't messaged me on Skype. And where's my other friend here from Cuba? Where is he? Where is Liberto? Liberto, where is he? He's not here. He hasn't been on Skype in a week. So I'm just checking my Skype here for people I know in Cuba, but they haven't been on in a while, in about a week now. So, all right, let's call. Let me see who I got here. I want to get some first time. I want Tig Nim to call in. She's been commenting in the thing for years. And she's commenting right now, but she's not picking up her phone. Let's get Tignim on. Come on, guys. Let's get her in the comments. Tell her that she needs to pick up her phone. Oh, she hung up. Tignim hung up on us. She hung up. All right, I need to find out what the hell is going on here. Let me see. Supreme Canon has a new internet. Let's see if it works. So I'm getting a connecting signal here. Let's see.
You're talking about all men.
Hola, Miguel.
Supreme, so good to have you on the show. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, so far so good.
How's your new internet?
Surprise. It's working beautifully so far. The odd hiccup now and then, but it just lasts for a second. So
good,
nice.
good.
It's a nice change.
So, some mainstream media outlets are reporting that people are fleeing Cuba so they can come to America to get the vaccine.
Of course they are. Of course they are. Everybody knows that, Mike. Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't it pathetic? It's just unbelievable, isn't it? You're just looking right at them, and they just lie to you.
All right, let me ask you something. It's kind of important.
Okay.
You know how our prime minister loves to jump on geopolitical issues and weigh his opinion on everything, and he knows everything about anything that's ever happened and will happen?
Oh, he's a pretty amazing statesman, yeah.
Yeah. Why hasn't he commented on anything in Cuba? Ever?
Doesn't want to dishonor his real dad, I guess. You know, I mean, you only talk about things that you don't have any complaints about, right? I mean, the way they try to shape things, they don't necessarily want things to be like Cuba, but they like them to be as much like Cuba as possible, and just try to make people accept it. And I suspect to a certain extent he doesn't have any idea what's going on there.
Well, I think the people that inform him. What do they call those people? Informers?
Yeah, advisors.
I think those people don't know if they're tricking, because I see who some of these people are, like some of their health advisor, and their economic advisor. These people, they're a bunch of degenerate losers. They have no idea they can't even speak any other language, but they can't even speak in Spanish to talk to these people, for Christ's sakes.
No. They're oh, sorry, I just had to mute this here. Part of the problem is, you know, when you subscribe to a certain way of interpreting the world, and I think it's true of everybody. You know, we all look at the world through our lens, our experiences, the things that ring true to us, and that's why it seems like there's always these two segments of the body politic that are just talking past each other, right? They're just not hearing each other and calling each other idiots, right? When you buy into socialism or socialism light or technocracy, when you buy into progressive politics, when you buy into blank slate, you know, idea of human development, things like that, when you really buy into it, anything that contradicts that is just obviously wrong. You know, and so whether something appears to be working or not, it's just, I mean, to someone like that, it's, hey, Dano, nice to see you there. If there's any trouble at all, if there's mass poverty, if there's crime, if there's unrest, they see it as, well, that's just necessary turbulence to get to the world that we want to build. Right? I mean, this is how it was in the Soviet Union. It's not like everybody in the country was aware that the ideology was a complete failure. They just believed it will inevitably triumph if we just push through, if we just stay the course, It has to work. I know it has to work. It's kind of like somebody in the casino and they're down to the last, $100, right? They know this time they pull the lever or take the cards that this is the one. This is all or nothing. And I just think that's how it is for them. Plus, especially when you live in the government and maybe the upper corporate or consulting world, you don't know what it's like to be a farmer. Hey, Layla, you don't know what it's like to be a logger. It's been a long time since you had relatives who did that sort of thing. So you think, okay, well, my granddad was from Alberta and now I'm a lawyer in Ottawa or something like that. So I know all about that stuff. No, you don't. You have no idea how much things have changed in the last even 40 or 50 years. They can't relate to it, right? Their day-to-day lives, especially in the urban bubbles, are insulated from, like you just live in a different layer of society. It's like deep sea fish, right? If you take those really, really deep sea fish and you bring them too close to the surface, they explode because they're adjusted to a higher pressure.
Right.
Similarly, if you take a surface creature like a human, you take us down more than 200, 250 feet, we get crushed. It tends to stratify itself after a while. And these things are temporary. It just depends on who's holding power, who the economic elite are at any given time. When we had a large middle class, and middle class was a fairly large segment of society, a lot of people, I think, could relate more to real life. But as society became more stratified, now the people at the top, now they have no idea what the life of Les Miserables is like anymore.
No, it's been a long time, right? It's been a long time since people, like a lot of people don't even remember. Oh, some of the people were too young during the 2007 and 2008 correction to know any of that. And then a lot of people weren't around, aren't old enough to remember the Reaganomics and the whole raising the interest rates and trying to resuscitate the failing economy, right?
Yeah, that's
like
right.
A lot of people weren't around. Like a lot of people in their 20s and 30s don't even know a lot of this stuff because 20s and 30s they were young teenagers during the 2007-2008 correction, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not their fault.
No, it's not.
They were too young and focused on the things that we were focused on when we were, 9, 10, 11 up to say age 20, right? We might have been intelligent, might have been educated, but in terms of actual life experience, no, we didn't have enough trips around the sun yet, Mike. We were dumber than a sack of hammers, frankly. And you see people that there's another channel, Economic Ninja. He talks about it to some of his subscribers. It's kind of the same idea. There are people that were there in 2000, and they were there in 2008, and they don't remember any of it. They just back doing what they were doing. Oh, well, that was terrible, but it was just a one-time thing, right? In the end, markets go up. Real estate only goes up. That line on the chart goes from lower left to upper right. Yeah, there's a hiccup once in a while, but it just keeps going up. It's going to be fine. That's how people think, right? Just because you don't want to think too hard because it takes away from watching Kardashians or, World Cup this or that, right?
I just like how the media is spinning that people are leaving Cuba for the vaccine.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
I could talk about that for 3 hours, dude. I really could.
That's an amazing spin. Like I don't know why they think that.
But you know that people like if you go right now to like parts of Florida or parts of anywhere, even in Canada, somebody could walk in my store and say, "Hey, I got some good news. People are fleeing Cuba now, so they can finally get the vaccine in America." People would say, "Oh, that's good news. I'm so happy to hear that the Cubans are standing up against this lack of vaccinations and getting themselves off that island and getting to America and getting the vaccine." Yeah. They won't. And then if you say, "Well, they're actually leaving because of communism," they'll be like, "No, they don't be silly."
Oh, sure, but this has been those two sides talking past each other for since Cuba was taken over by Castro.
I think it should have left it with the mobsters. At least over time, it would have found some sort of democratic, like, I guess, fulfillment over after, because the mafia had its grip on it in the 20s, and then after they had to move a majority of their businesses to Florida and New York and Chicago, right? But they were doing really good in they were doing really good in Cuba. They had almost all the casinos. They had all the majority of the whorehouses. They had all the control in Havana. And if they kind of stayed in a way where they would then have to flee, and was it Batista that was in power at the time? Who was it?
Yeah, it was Batista.
And instead of this coup or this takeover that happened, they could have kind of rolled into something a bit better instead of going into full blown, takeover and communism. Right. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think part of the mafia was cleaned out of New York, by Giuliani, and there was a lot of organized crime around the world that was eventually taken out by state governments.
Waste management,
yeah, all that stuff, yeah. But it does seem like in some ways there were at least various organs in the government that became the mafia instead, right? Like you didn't need. I mean, could Escobar have done what he did if the CIA wasn't either actively helping or at least turning a blind eye? Look at the number of people now that are coming to the United States that are actually being brought in by American, military and civil jets, government aircraft. They're flying them by thousands into the country now, all over the lower 48. And at the same time, you've got the people catching them at the border and sending them back. Like it's just this revolving door. So they've really doubled down on this, but in terms of the drugs and the human trafficking, the rest of it, in some ways, I think they just decided, well, we'll take over these organized crime fiefdoms, and we'll just run them ourselves.
Exactly. So if the organized criminals were, at least it's like us that's there. I'm not saying we are criminals, but it would have been more of, okay, there's criminals there, but they're not political. They're not politically driven. They're not politically influenced, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So eventually it would have steamrolled into getting one of their wise guys to become president type of thing. And they would have kept up the capitalism, right? Because if you notice that once Cuba was taken over, not a single car was imported into that country until the late 90s when they started bringing in Ladas from Russia.
Yeah, that's right. It's the only things they could get, exactly.
So I mean, if they kept it semi-capitalistic and bringing in cars, bringing in this, updates, new fabricated homes, new this, new that in the 60s and 70s when they went through that whole hippie movement and kind of bring a little bit of more democracy to Cuba, it would have been, it would have fallen into where America is. By the 80s and 90s, you would have seen a drastic, from the 30s to the 90s, you would have seen Cuba revolutionize into something different instead of just going into full-blown communism, because then that just takes the country right off life support and there's no more income, no one coming to the casinos. The place just turned into nothing. I've been to Cuba. I know.
It just turned into a hellhole. Yeah, and it's a real shame. It's kind of the same thing I think that happened in Nicaragua with the Sandinistas. Just about anywhere that it's been tried. Venezuela is experiencing it right now.
Panama.
In some ways, Panama, in some ways they're classic Latin American, banana republic kind of things, but they still had electric lights and, basic sanitation and things like that. At least in the cities, they had enough of a functioning infrastructure that at least the potential for someone to accumulate some property and build some wealth and make a better life for themselves was available. In that sense, the capitalist free-for-all, even the oligarchic free-for-all we have now, I would still prefer it to communism, obviously, right? Just because, yes, there's wealthy people that own everything, but every once in a while, that ownership changes. It's like Monopoly. It doesn't matter if you rule the board. Sooner or later, the game ends, and you go back in the box for someone else to come along.
Because what would you prefer, like the fascism or the communism? Because fascism, they both have lots of cons to them. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
What do you think Canada is right now, especially with Canada buying its own debt back, Canada allowing money laundering, Canada allowing banks to do money placements for people that have money they can't move?
It's kind of a fusion, Mike, of the two systems, because yes, you have this economy that is fascistic in that you have these large corporations that just are eating up more and more of the economic pie that's available outside of the public sector, right? But the money that is used to lubricate it and all the transactions that take place is centrally controlled with an artificially suppressed price. So it's kind of like socialist money running a fascist economy.
That's you know what? Socialist money in a fascist economy. Yeah. Because but where would tyrannical government fall under? Would it be under more, it would be communism, right? More.
Well, I think it would be. I mean, if you centralize power to a certain extent and you've taken more than enough of the economy that it's not possible for the private sector to keep people in homes anymore, and you have to rely on more and more government intervention to give people the basics of life, then you're tending more towards a communist system. The thing about a fascist system is it's a union of government and corporations, which is also terrible, obviously. But corporations need customers, and you can't have customers unless everyone's working and getting paid.
Right.
Right. Both are horrible in their own way. But it always seems that we're, at least in the democracies, we're constantly bouncing between the two extremes. There's always a hazard of it going too far one way or the other. But it does seem that the one opposite pole eventually exerts enough force on that political center that it starts to move back the other way.
Because are they're easing or they're tapering off. Here's the article here for you guys to see. Bank of Canada to further taper toxic program that helped push home prices higher. So the government, this is just my opinion, they're closing off. They're not buying $3 billion a week in bonds. They're not buying $3 billion. They're buying $2 billion a week now instead. But the problem is, when you see something like this, you know what this means? It means that the public sector is buying out the private sector.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
This is a major issue.
It's a real problem.
Can you maybe explain to us the importance of understanding when this transfer of power starts to tilt like this? Because this is a major issue, and I think this is the one way they're going to get us into this socialistic but tyrannical communist dystopia we're falling into.
That's the dream. As an advisory ahead of time, I'm not a financial expert. I only play one on the Mike Martin show. Okay, but if you get to the point where government is holding the bag on a bunch of overpriced real estate, and all of these mortgage bonds and other things, to my mind, that they're buying are overpriced. Okay, you're trying to socialize the losses. Right. And then it's capitalism when they make money and it's socialism when they lose money, kind of a thing. Right. If the taxpayer is already holding the bag for a bunch of this stuff through at least their income taxes are paying the interest on this debt. OK, I think that's the idea.
Right.
Then these are terrible, toxic things. And you're running up the bill on your as yet unborn great grandchildren. You're just going to reach a point where people's expectations of at least the opportunity of a middle class life get further and further away. You're going to see more extreme politics. I do think it's still going to swing more populist. Because the idea is the people out on the street who used to be middle class that are now protesting against the government are not protesting for more socialism. They're protesting for the opportunity to have their businesses back. Right, or to have decent paying industrial jobs back and that sort of thing. It gets a nationalist flavor to it after a while, right? Whereas communism and socialism are more internationalist. They're more what you would call globalist.
Right.
Right. It's the same idea. It's just kind of a secular version of Christianity. It's the socialist gospel, and there's no creed or color or anything like that. It's just everybody's the same. We're all one big happy family, one big happy rainbow cookie collective. And they keep trying to sell this, and there's obviously a lot of people that benefit from it, at least temporarily, as long as the government has some cheese to hand out. But sooner or later, that cheese runs out, or it gets watered down so bad that it's not satisfying anybody anymore. But because that we were industrialized countries and advanced democracies with a large and robust middle class that has been eroded, then I think... I just think politics is going to get I don't know how else to call it, but extreme populist.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to spin it.
If there could be such a thing, that's what I have in mind. It's not going to be a matter of, okay, we're going to seize the means of production at Ford's, car plant, or Anchor Foods or something like that. But what we're going to do is we're going to at least set tax policies and commercial policies, export policies, trade policies, so that the incentive is there to start building that stuff in Canada again. I mean, America was wildly popular when Trump did it. Most of the people that were against him live in the cities, and for the most part, their livelihoods weren't affected because it's an artificial environment. They're always the last to know.
Well, you got CNN up everyone's butt lying about crap. But I got some good news. I think there was more people watching Mike in the Night live last Saturday on my backup channel with 600 subscribers than was watching CNN live the last Saturday when they did that 3-minute live segment there, a 4-minute live segment.
I believe it.
Yeah, so it's getting to a point where it's the government's. The government's in bed with the whole
with the media complex.
The media complex the media should be non-biased, independent, and that's gone. They should be our watchdogs, right?
Absolutely.
We lost that. We lost everything. Our banking system has faltered on us. Our governments haven't been protecting our borders with money laundering and fentanyl and drugs that are being brought in. We have more guns in Canada than we ever did. Loose guns that are just floating. How did they get in here? People aren't bringing in guns. They can't bring in. I mean, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah. The law abiding. Yeah, these things always hit the law abiding. People that don't care about the law, yeah, they do fine. That's a society on the brink of, if not a collapse, then a major metamorphosis into something else. And we need, in some ways, to bring back more of a Wild West mentality here again.
We have to. Because
it gets to the point that the magistrate is not enforcing law and order, but preventing us from having law and order, then that magistrate needs to go. They're not fulfilling the mandate of heaven anymore, as it were. They need to go. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you got to pull out your guns, and it doesn't necessarily mean that that's something you're going to get at the ballot box either, because let's face it, who's offering it at the ballot box? It has to be how about you conduct your life, what you do at the community level, and how you vote with every dollar in your pocket. You've got to be more discerning about who you're actually giving your money and your time and your attention to. The reason we have alternative media now is because of the old line media, because it just reached a level of disgust that we finally got to the point where people were actually willing to shell out of their own pockets to support alternative media that actually would go be watchdogs and would go raise the alarm and would speak truth to power in this world. But those people need direct support from us, because obviously, major political donors and woke corporations aren't even going to sell to them. Right? I mean, we're getting to the point where people are going to be threatened with having their banking services and all kinds of things cut off. If they don't get
in Pakistan,
that would be the time to get on the street.
In Pakistan right now, a lot of people's chips on their phones have been disconnected, so they can't use their cell phones because they're not complying with government compliance. We have people reporting from, where was it? Oh God, what country was that? Where people, non-compliant people were losing electricity. I have it written down here. Hold on. Cell phone disruptions in Pakistan's electricity cut in villages in India. Door-to-door outreach. Door-to-door outreach for government compliance. And I'm talking about the serum, right?
Yes.
And you know what they're actually pushing for? Now, this is something that's come that I came across. Okay, there's one thing on the economic side. We're talking economics today. Banks in Canada are looking to scrap the HELOC or second mortgages,
Yeah, well, it's probably time.
They're looking at scrapping them permanently and then getting people, because people have been living off the equity off their homes for the last 6-7 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Your old favorite previous employer, Wells Fargo, has been pulling unsecured credit lines this past week too,
Yeah.
Yeah, this should say shades of about 2006, 2007. We're about to top that roller coaster again, I think, because when you start seeing concerns about that, when we should theoretically coming out of a worldwide shutdown be going through a robust rebound in economic activity, and they're doing things like that. I think shades of 2008 maybe are haunting their thoughts, and they're trying to, maybe they're passing out a little less Kool-Aid to people.
Internet. So, you know what listen, look, here it is. No travel. They want to ban or restrict travel for Westerners. So people living in Canada and the United States, they actually want to restrict zero travel. They want no travel outside of the country.
How come?
This is it's coming from someone in Montreal sent this to me, that they had a conference call talking about mortgage insurance, and they came onto the topic about global warming, and then on the conference call they spoke not global warming, climate change, and then they talked about how there may be a no travel mandate for any Western countries, and they might be they're testing the waters in Australia, where it's going to be like a complete travel ban to leave Australia. Like they're trying it they're testing the waters in Australia. I know Australia's in another lockdown again. Right. So I know there's a travel bubble between New Zealand. I don't know. Foreign investors could come in. That's not a problem from China. That's not a problem. It's the people that in the country that built the infrastructure and contributed and fought wars and all the BS that they had to go through to get that country on the ground, or in Canada, anywhere. And now they want to ban travel for Westerners. That's what's on the agenda. And internet shutdowns. They're going to do internet shutdown, rolling internet shutdowns in parts of the U.S. They're going to start doing that, and they're going to go from anywhere from 6 hours to up to a week in some areas.
Okay.
And they're passing the HR 666 in the States. You could look it up. It's a bill they're trying to pass where they are actually making racism a public health crisis.
Oh, well, yeah, they'll try stuff like that. It won't survive a court challenge.
Right, but I'm just telling you, like, just to let you know.
It's constant harassment stuff like this. It's like they were trying to the Ford government in Ontario just backed down from trying to a curriculum that said that math was racist.
Yeah, I heard about that. Things sent me that.
Yeah, people raised a stink. Okay, and they backed down from it. But how could something that stupid and senseless be brought up in the first place with a straight face? How is this possible? What I want to know is who are the names and what are the names and addresses of the people that come up with this crap? I want to know who they are.
It's a bunch of garbage.
I want those people fired so they can pursue their true calling as the least popular barista at Starbucks.
Yeah, but because our tax dollars, they're sucking off the public tick. Our tax dollars are funding these BS, a majority of this BS crap. So it's time, they take the walk. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's harassment. It's just they hit you and they hit you and they hit you with something else from every angle. Their side of the aisle has cleared the benches a long time ago. They're going for it. They've never stopped. But it seems like every time we turn around, we just want to get on with our lives, and we have to drop everything and fight another one of these things where they, trying to turn our kids into them. You know what I mean? And they literally have the time to think of stuff like this, and they get paid well to just sit around and think of stuff like this. Look at that plane load of legislators that took off from Texas to avoid voting a voter integrity bill this week. Right? There's a picture of them on a private plane, case of Miller Lite sitting in the aisle. No one's wearing a mask. They're heading to D.C. No, we're not gonna stay and vote for this. Right? Like they just do stuff like that. They don't care. It's just they're just children on the playground to them. Children with power, toddlers playing with dynamite. Like we have to get down deep into the grassroots, and we've got to start weeding. We've got to get them out of our lives. They can go live in their urban termite mounds and boss each other around. And it can be done, but just that you have to get involved. At very least, you got to think, again, about who you support in terms of media and who you support in terms of the products that you buy. and to look after yourself and those around you as best you can. Right? Like it's kind of you're playing from defense, but it's like, launching raids from a castle kind of a thing. Right? You got to make yourself as anti-fragile as possible, and then from there, branch out.
That's a good one. That's
how I see it anyway.
I think people have lost confidence in their governments. I think people have lost confidence in their banking. I think people, how many money laundering breaches that they know of in, I think it was 2019 in Canada? 35 million. That's how many people live in the country.
Wow.
That's in 1 year.
Yeah, it's insane.
So,
but it's going to show up eventually it's going to show up in the numbers somewhere.
Well, it does, but they were doing it. They had this big task force for money laundering, and the Liberal government shut it down 7-8 months ago. They were ready in their first 3 months of investigating. They were ready to arrest like 36,000 people.
Yeah, there was a lot of people involved. Yeah, it runs deep. It's been going on for a long time. It's been going on for decades and decades. These networks just rise up and they grow like, it's like weeds. You got to go out with the weed whacker and knock them back once in a while. They take over the yard. I live in British Columbia. If you see small trees growing up out of your lawn and you don't deal with them, well, they'll just grow into big trees, and pretty soon the forest takes over again. You have to artificially keep nature from reasserting itself in your life. Well, yeah, really, Layla. There's court challenges all the time. We'd have had guns banned and all kinds of rights restricted in Canada. They tried all this crap in the mid-'90s too. They don't survive court challenges. It's the harassment. They throw everything at the wall. Some of it sticks.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care if they lose because it's not being done with their money anyway. Simple as that. Like, I'm not saying victory is inevitable, okay, guys? I'm just saying it is a war, and at least people are fighting because they're suffering, because they're getting angry. Now, some of them, they're all blaming, everyone's got a scapegoat, right? Everyone's, it's this group, it's that group. It still comes down to, what do you believe? What's important to you? And how are you going to advance your own personal interests in this world? Each household is its own micro state. Like you have to run it that way.
Right.
You've got to think of yourself as, okay, how am I dealing with these larger powers out there that want to take everything from me, or at least don't care what happens to me?
Mm-hmm.
And then you want to be with the people that actually do care what happens to you. It's going to come down to teamwork. It comes down to finding your own tribe.
Well,
it's not minor stuff, guys. Yes, there are agendas. Yes, there's all kinds of agendas, and some of them conflict. The American government is so enormous, and there's so many huge departments that operate as silos that don't communicate with each other and spend unbelievable amount of money. Remember in 2015, Mike, there was a militia in Syria that was supported by the Pentagon, and there was another one supported by the CIA.
Right, yes.
And they're both set up to, as freedom fighters to overthrow Bashar Assad. And before long, they were fighting each other. Like you had U.S. taxpayers funding both sides of that war.
Yep.
Within a war, this is just stupidity. This thing is not all coordinated. It's coordinated maybe at the absolute highest level. They're still relying on a bunch of greedy, empty minions to carry it all out. So chaos can work to your advantage too.
Yeah, it does, and then there's ways to make money out of chaos because not everyone's covering all their bases, right?
Well, sure. Look how most people blame the banks for the financial crashes and stuff that goes on. Well, what really causes that? They make cheap credit available, and what do people do? They go out and speculate. They go rush out and borrow money to do all kinds of stupid things with it. And then eventually it crashes, and then everyone else gets dragged down with it. It's like they set up these systems to give everybody maximum liberty to go out and do the absolute stupidest possible things they can think of doing without anything to regulate them. And we all suffer for it. Yeah, the Crown Royal Trap. I'm with you there.
You're talking about
absolutely
all
Crown Royal
man.
Trap. We will be great, my friend. We will be dukes in the Crown Royal Trap.
I miss those days, you know,
well,
getting off work, getting a few drinks with friends after work, catching up, talking, you know.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, those were the days. It's just even in my little town, it's so atomized. But of course, you know, people move on, right? They move and do their thing elsewhere. Yeah, the ships are being told to sit at port. I saw somebody on another channel last night, and Prince Rupert is running around the clock, but LA and San Diego aren't. They're only running 2 shifts, and they're not going to put on a third because they don't want to pay the overtime.
Yeah, the longshoremen, right?
The longshoremen, yeah, that's right. Yeah, they don't want to pay the overtime, so the backlogs aren't going to get cleared that quickly. So they'll just get shuttled to the places where they will work 24/7, wherever that may be. But in the case of Prince Rupert right now, yeah, apparently they're going around the clock. So how much container traffic that Prince Rupert can handle compared to Los Angeles, I'm sure it's just a fraction. I have no idea if it also applies to the Delta Superport, but anywhere where people are going around the clock, yeah, they'll just send their ships there. You know, they gotta reroute the shipping. A lot of the problems that we're having with shortages and like higher lumber prices and stuff like that wasn't availability of material, it was availability of transportation.
I just realized something.
What?
I'm gonna have to throw this out there, sorry.
Okay,
there's a sign a guy's holding here in downtown Havana. It says abajo la dictadora, patria y vida. You know, this sign was actually altered on another news thing, and it said, "We want vaccinations now," or "Vaccinations now. We are sick," or "We are dying. We need vaccination."
Oh, yeah.
I'm not joking, because I'm looking at this sign, and wait a minute. Abajo la dictadura means down with the dictatorship. A patriot. We want a free life, basically. A free life.
Yeah, we want freedom.
But this sign was edited.
So we want vaccines.
Yeah, we're dying now, vaccinate us now or something. And I remember seeing that, and that's why I brought up like that thing on our channel where I said people are leaving Cuba for communism, but mainstream media says people are leaving to get the vaccine.
Oh yeah, they got the vaccines in Florida, so that's where we're trying to get out of Cuba.
Yeah, we're gonna get to Florida. We're gonna get to Miami.
Right. We got to get to Florida, yeah, because there's no vaccines in Cuba. We're all gonna die. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with starving.
Yeah, that sign's been changed because I remember seeing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's just shameless. It's absolutely shameless. And this is the thing. It's going to be like Tokyo Rose or, you know, Baghdad Bob. The people broadcasting those lies are going to do it until somebody breaks into the studio and you know points a gun at them and says, "Okay, you can stop talking now." Mm-hmm. Right? Or until their checks stop clearing. But until that point in time, you know, like all of the ministries in the old Soviet Union, the day before it all came to an end, they got up in the morning, they got cleaned up, they had breakfast, they went into work and advanced the inevitable triumph of Marxism, and the next day they were out of a job and probably trying to dodge revenge mobs. It will happen that fast.
Well, here it is right here. So this is a lie.
The world is bankrupt. This is going to end suddenly one day.
Okay, hear this out. As infections rise, Cuban doctors fan out to encourage COVID jabs. So that means no one's going to the clinics to get the jab. So they're leaving Cuba to go to Florida to get the jab.
Yeah, that makes tons of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, it's
they have to encourage people.
It was like Russian collusion, right? Even though enough people could see that it was nonsense, it's okay. Well, this is the lie. We're going with it. It's like, no, people are angry because they can't get the vaccine so they can get back to their normal lives. People are crying out for the vaccine. You know, viva la libra vaccina. Or whatever, you know? Yeah. It's just, this is how it's going to be. They have an agenda. We see it. We're looking right at them. You know, like the mobs in London, the mobs in Paris, the mobs in
England's thinking of reopening now on the 19th, even though it's been under protest in every major city, 20,000 plus people in every like major city in England. So what are they reopening from when the whole country is out on the street?
Yeah, well, after the World Cup, right? And
Mm-hmm.
after, it took 55 years for it to come back to England, to Wembley, ground zero of world soccer,
Mm-hmm.
and they lost,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, yeah, no. The average Englishman will revolt over that before he'll revolt over, Pakistani rape gangs, globalism, or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm inclined to think at this point in time, if they're lifting everything suddenly, it's because the people are, they just lost the World Cup. They will literally overthrow the government over that.
Yeah, they would. That's
happened in other countries too.
Can I throw something out there?
Sure.
Could this have stemmed all this shit we're going through right now? Remember, 2019 was the year of the protest, right?
Yes.
Like almost 85% of countries were in protest in 2019.
Yeah.
Now, could it have been because of, let's take Canada for an example, and Australia and the UK and New Zealand. Could it have been that because these countries refused a correction in their economy, that it's gotten to a point where they cannot no longer create a correction in the economy? Let's say the housing market, which we've been talking about for years. Yeah. Could all this bullshit and crap could it stem right back to, let's say, 2010, from when the beginning of when the economy should have made a correction in 2010 in Canada, because America had theirs in 2008, and Canada was supposed to be seeing about 2010 after the Olympics in Vancouver, where we're supposed to see a major housing correction. Could all this crap stem for us, for example, in these countries in the Commonwealth, to not wanting to correct this economy by raising interest rates, by doing things by the book? Could all of this crap have stemmed from that?
Oh, in the background, as background noise to it all, I think absolutely.
Because if you think about it, you get fentanyl sales coming from offshore, and we know the CTV said it's from Chinese communist factories that's being flooding on our shores. They're reinvesting the fentanyl into real estate. Now, if you think about it, it's almost like it was like a drawn-out economic, let's milk out the middle class war.
It seems that way. I think it's a matter of it wasn't even because, I mean, to think of gangsters, running slaves or drugs around, with big wads of cash, living in mansions like Pablo Escobar. I don't think they're doctrinaire Marxists. I think they just see the middle class and the lower classes, that get their share of, from Uncle Sugar, even if they don't have income of their own, as easy money. As a herd to be milked. Right now, the Chinese sending fentanyl. This stuff is so freaking deadly. There's no question that, to my mind, is sabotage and an act of war, as far as I'm concerned. Because let's face it, you're getting people hooked on something that, kill them rather than turn them into a regular customer. So I think the Chinese drug war is ideological, whereas the supplies coming through from via the CIA and the cartels, and really this goes back to even Vietnam and probably before that, the Opium Wars, if you really want to go further back. I think that's
but hold on, look, Supreme. If we had a housing correction in 2010, we wouldn't be in this problem today. We probably wouldn't even have COVID, because then there's no reason to put the world on hold. There's no reason. If we had the correction in 2010 and another one in 2017, which we were supposed to have, because nothing made sense, they're bribing people to come in, first-time home buyers, because they could barely get it. So that we're in trouble now. Now, when the locals are completely out of their own markets, and now they're going to be priced out of food in the next couple of months.
Yeah, could be.
But look at this. It all stems from affordability for shelter.
Yeah, the basics of life. Yeah,
but we're losing that. We've lost that. The middle class is all but gone. I don't know where the middle class is going. We're seeing a massive brain drain. If we had corrections, France, I sure as my name, In 2016, if the French market was looking to see some sort of a correction because they were way out of whack, the GDP, like there's a problem happening in France. I think it was in 2014. If France saw the correction that they were looking at, they needed to correct, they needed to raise the interest, they had to figure something out in France. They wouldn't have had the yellow vest movement because everything would have came back to ground, everything would have came back down to earth, people would have continued with their jobs and got their houses and this and that, and maybe pay a little bit more for things because interest rates went up and they've corrected the balance. They wouldn't have had this stupid friggin' yellow vest movement BS shit. Everything would have been fixed. Everything is happening because we're not putting the measures in place that we put in back in the 30s and 40s and 50s, and all these acts that were put in place that have been removed to protect the average consumer or the average Joe Donuts from getting screwed over. Now people are you see where I'm coming with this?
Yeah, I think so. I think a certain amount of it is hubris. I think it's the idea as well. We'll let the chaos happen and then we'll create a new order out of it. And I think that there's been too many different forms of chaos happening at the same time that I don't think they really know completely what to do with it. There should have been corrections. There should have been a quote-unquote business cycle permitted to take place after 2009. The problem is even at that point, there had been so much money pumped in the economy since the dot-com thing in 2000 that an enormous building bubble all over the world. I remember seeing brand new subdivisions in Maui when I was there in 2007, and there were still new ones going up. It was just happening everywhere. It was insane. It would have taken down the global economy at that point. You know, American hegemony, I mean, if the whole world was suddenly set back to reset, American hegemony would have been over. Because at that time,
I'm not even asking for a reset. All I'm asking is for them to implement the rules in place to protect the average person that has no idea and follows the mainstream media and doesn't even know if he's tricking or treating. Because the problem is if they implemented and they raised interest rates like they should have in 2014 and 2017, if they actually did it properly, like they should have, we wouldn't be, I don't think we would have this COVID issue because a lot of people would have lost, a lot of the bad money would have drowned, a lot of the bad bets would have had, would be off the table.
Yes.
And I feel that none of this, the 2019 year of the protest could have been avoided if the people that made the laws and the banking laws and the institution and the financial regulation laws and the BS laws if they followed their own rules, we wouldn't be in this problem.
Yeah, I think that most of what we call the elites, first of all, they're the real useless eaters, not you and me, folks, because we actually work for our food. Mm-hmm. But a lot of them are dumb, Mike. Like I've said before, I don't think that these are those genius psychopathic masterminds of yesteryear. I think this is their spoiled trust fund kids and grandkids. They're just used to winning. They don't remember what it was like. They have no class. They have no self-control.
Doesn't Charlie Sheen say that? Win?
Well, yeah. When you look at Charlie Sheen's old man, and I mean, he came up and became an actor and all the rest of it, and yeah, look at Charlie. Look what like Martin tried to get conservatorship over his son, 45-year-old son, because he was so completely out of control, right? Mm-hmm. Like there should be a Hollywood dynasty. Charlie Sheen's, teenage children should be working in Hollywood by now, but I don't think he has any children. Mm-hmm. No, a lot of these people, they're used to winning. They're used to having it their way for decades. And now they're getting some pushback. And I don't think the pushback is completely grassroots, as I've said before. I think this is happening at higher levels. Maybe there is one overarching power controlling the world, but think of it in terms of medieval jousting, right? The king or the prince of an area would sit in attendance while lesser noble families sent out their male, armored sons on horses to try to kill each other with lances in order to move their way up the chain. It was kind of a aristocratic version of the Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games, you know what I mean? Yeah, and we, the peasants, would sit in the stands and eat popcorn or, crickets or whatever snack food was back in those days. Okay, maybe they did live in the pod and eat the bugs. Who knows? To watch and see who the next, who the princess was going to marry, who their next overlord would be. So blood sport is common among the elites and always has been. Peasants didn't fight duels. It was aristocrats and famous politicians who fought duels with actual pistols and swords. So, no, the aristocratic and elite life is blood sport. It's only when you get a generation that gets real soft, like the last generation of the French Bourbon royal family, for example, who got soft and foppish and disconnected from the people. They didn't keep their finger on the pulse. They got bad advice from the ministers, and the people were suffering. And right, and that's where we are now. These people aren't keeping in touch. They're just concerned with getting their own, and they think that nothing will ever happen. And if it does happen, it'll happen out in flyover country.
Yeah, flyover country. Yeah.
And they have no idea how anybody lives out there. I think the Vice President of the United States said something the other day about rural people who don't even have access to like photocopiers and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's just lucky that Donald Trump didn't say something like that, because that would have been the end of the world.
Yeah. Well, I think he's been outside of New York and Washington. I think he actually knows that. No, they say things like this because this is how their constituency thinks. Like she said the quiet part out loud. Yes, we're really this stupid. Yes, we really think you people are just gap-toothed, and marry your own cousins. That's what they think. This is the stereotype of the bubble that they've been living in.
You're talking about,
and they say that rural people live in a bubble and don't understand the real world. And this is what they think of us. This is what they think we really are. It's like people in Texas that think everybody in Canada lives in an igloo.
I love that.
You know what I mean? I mean, they can't find their own country on a map. The only reason they know what Texas looks like is I think there's some pancake houses that actually have pancakes that look like the state of Texas. So they probably know what and I'm probably mischaracterizing Texans because they actually have a kind of national pride of their own because they were their own country for a while. But no,
the Republic of Texas, that's right.
Yeah, there's lots of people in the States can't find their own country on a map, and they haven't needed to.
I love China.
Like America is like Canada, it's like Russia, it's like China. They're not just one big country. They're comprised of, in some cases, a dozen different regions that really, other than commerce, don't have that much in common with each other.
No, you could say that too, yeah.
Yeah, and as long as they're out of each other's face, they get along fine. They can live alongside each other just fine.
Right. All right, Supreme, we're rolling into our second hour, and I am going to start wrapping things up here. Okay. It looks like Ralphie has a playbook, the Tyranny Playbook, so we'll get him on Mike in the Night for that.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Supreme, and it's good to see your internet's working without a single hiccup.
I'm pleasantly surprised. Yeah, it's kind of nice. So I hope to get a chance to interact more with that. Thanks, guys. It's great to see you all again. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. God bless you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. That
is Supreme Cannon's got new internet. We're gonna have Ralphie on Saturday. He's got the Tyranny Playbook. We'll get him on Saturday. We got Aniki saying, "Hi, Mike. Everyone, the protests will be back in full force. Hypocrisy and government brutality is obvious now." That's in Australia, and we'll be talking about that on Mike in the Night. So we did talk about housing in areas, and the price of gold starting to look like it's going to break away. I don't know. The price of bond purchases are cutting back. I don't know. Inflation, they're trying to control it. Inflation injections or whatever they're trying to do. We went through the whole show, and yeah. We got Gino. We need Gino to call into the show, man. Gino's there. Hopefully we can get Gino. We got our one first-time caller in the show today, which was really good. I want to thank Scott Silver, for calling in. I appreciate that. So we could get more people in to call into the show to make a difference. Okay, so we got... Guys, don't forget to subscribe to our main channel, because you are watching us on our... you're watching this show on our live streaming channel. So please go ahead and get on the main channel, subscribe there. Also, guys, don't forget, Mike in the Night this Saturday. Can you please set your reminders for this show on Saturday? Mike in the Night, 2 weeks to go. Can you please set your reminders? Let me get the proper link for this, if you guys don't mind. Please. Tig Nim will be on the show. She's going to be sharing some on the show to discuss, and that's going to be really nice. And next week's show, casino and housing stock markets. The game never ends. And don't forget to message me, guys. You need to message me on Instagram, please. I'm on Instagram. Please, message me on Instagram. Artbydano.com, not your typical art. Artbydano.com, with packages and bundles and all kinds of cool stuff. Art by Dano, not your typical art. He's got a new release section, which is really good. He said he's going to work on something Billy Idol here. Let's see if he's got any new... Ooh, he's got 3 stuff up now. He's got Snoop Dogg here on the new releases, and he's got The Mandalorian, and he's got that the hot chick there from the show there. I remember, like, in the second season there. I forgot what her name was. I saw the show once. I didn't really, you know what I mean. Anyways, ralphie.co.New Zealand. Don't forget to listen to New Zealand radio, broadcasting from Auckland, and where you can see replays of A Mike in the Night. So ralphie.co.nz. All right, guys, it is time to wrap things up, guys. It's hot in here. Like, my forehead it's really hot. It's like 38, 35 centigrade in here, and it's a tough one. So we're going to have a good Mike in the Night. We got 2 weeks to go, and I hope everyone's prepared. I just, tell everyone you love them. Be on the right side of things, and hope everybody's okay. And we got guys, don't forget to join our Discord. Somebody put a link for our Discord in the live chat. I think we're close to 80 or 90 people on Discord. And what else we got here? Get an AC mic. Maybe I might get one for my office here. We got Papa Piss in the house, LK in the house. LK needs to call in too. Who else? Everyone needs to call into the show. Everybody needs to call in at least one time. One call in. One time. So, anyways, guys, signing off. Mike Martin's here. Take care, and if you can't take care, please stay safe.